how to tank in Final Fantasy XIV Online. Stay with me because we're about to do part 2 of my how-to guide for tanking. This is Mystic with Mystic Shepherd Gaming, and I've been playing Final Fantasy XIV Online for on and off about 5 years. Not steady the whole time either, and gaming for decades. Okay, so I'm queuing up for duty roulette leveling, which brings me into anything up to my level. You can see here, first thing I do, I put on my stance, your tank stance, and you can see I missed this part. I just go running forward, and I didn't ask until after this first fight. I didn't ask, would you like a full clear? It doesn't even matter if the thing takes you through a full clear or not. Just make sure you ask if the new person wants a full clear, because then you get the achievement for them for running through the whole dungeon. Okay? So you'll see at the end of this first fight, I do that. And I was all gung-ho. I was excited. I'm doing this video for everyone. You can see I'm putting on my mitigation, moves, and, keeping aggro as best I can. There's going to be some situations you just can't. You see where I just asked and they said I'm cool with whatever. So basically, once I started going through the dungeon, I realized there's no way to skip any parts. So we're good. The person will get the achievement at the end for having gone through every room. So now basically you're in here and your main goal is to run everyone through, not die, not wipe the group, don't overpull. You kind of test the limits of the healer. I had an awesome healer, and for me to say that being, the healer type and is phenomenal. They were really a good healers. I mean, like Scholar, you can't go wrong with Scholar or a White Mage, but they were a pretty good Scholar healer. So now we're at the first boss, and it's basically, especially with boss mechanics, there are some mechanics that if it seems like you're trying everything you can to keep the aggression, to keep the aggro, and it's not happening, then I can almost guarantee you in this game you can't do it on that particular boss. They're not meant for you to keep the aggression. There are some dungeons that are like that. This book, I remember initially starting out, was the hardest part of this dungeon, and it's the first boss. We wiped, and then you get to the last boss, and it's pretty much as hard, but the mechanics are so much easier to go through for whatever reason. The first boss in this dungeon, the Great Gubal Library, is the toughest. So once you get past that, you're golden. So basically, no matter what, use your damage mitigation moves, always, especially on what's called, a lot of people call the trash mobs, which are the mobs in between bosses. Basically, that's when it's, even in my opinion, and it's only my opinion, is when it's the most important to use your damage mitigation moves, your shields, each, like the paladin, the warrior, the dark knight, have specific moves that are to their own class that helps reduce damage, and then there's ones that go to all of them that is on a separate thing that you put on your bar. And so you can mitigate a lot of damage, and you can also help put a little bit more damage out. Like with the paladin, you have two things that you could put a damage over time. So that actually, it's not a huge amount. It's certainly not a DPS's amount of damage over time, but it's equal to what you would do as a healer, which is a secondary damage over time, or a secondary damage DPS. I think the warrior actually has, and maybe even the dark knight has, moves that you can take and go more into DPS while keeping aggro. It's pretty awesome. All of the tanks in this game actually have different benefits. One thing I am totally bummed about, they took away from the paladin / gladiator. I don't recall if the other tanks had it or not, but they took away revive. The tank, if they were alive, could then res anybody. that dropped. If the healer went down and there was no one to res the healer, well, the tank could. If a DPS went down and the healer was just struggling with mana and, trying to keep the tank alive, well, the tank could res whomever. And I mean, like, I really wish they would give that back. I really, really wish. I don't understand, especially a paladin. A paladin is like a healer / tank, right? That in most games that I've ever played, they're a healer / tank. That's why they also have a heal move. And please don't take that heal move away now that I brought up that they have clemency, and if you're not going to have them be anyway. So now we're on the last boss, and I'm trying to explain to the last person who is like, go, go, go. This is a new person. Time is money. Well, they ended up wiping the group because they didn't want to fully listen. They didn't, I tried to say, okay, group 1 is me and Penny, and group 2 is the DPSs, and we're trying to explain to this person, the mechanics of this last boss, and they were in a rush. Time is money. Well, right, you're right, but also, time is money when you wipe the group and you're not listening. So basically, they left the, those big balls that, that's shock. So basically, they left those balls there where everyone got wiped. And, we had to go through again. No, we did succeed. You'll see we succeed in the end with, only going through it the second time we do. But they then realize, oh, wait, I was in such a hurry, but maybe I should have actually read and listened. So, I give a brief sentence, and I believe the healer or someone else gives also some information. And then we successfully make it through. And they pay attention to what the other people, when the yuck is put on them, where they take it away from the group. I mean, these are things, even as a DPS, as a tank, typically it doesn't happen to the tank, but it will happen to the healer. Take it away from anything. When you get targeted with something, take it away from the center. Take it to the outside edges, especially in a boss fight, because it typically is going to be something bad. That's just, after a certain length of time of playing, it's kind of like Final Fantasy XIV Online common sense. But again, it's common sense after a certain time of in Final Fantasy XIV or Final Fantasies. So you can see at the end, everybody was pretty much happy. I show you here, I got 2 out of the 3 commendations. So, and this is just another way of showing you how to, part 2, tanking the actual in a dungeon in Final Fantasy XIV. Please remember to smash that like button, ring the bell to be alerted when I put out videos and go live, and subscribe, but only if you want to. Thank you so much for watching my video, and have a wonderful day.